Hey guys, what's going on? Hope everyone had a good Thanksgiving. So, I've been reading heavily about antennas, and monopole antennas, and Marconi antennas, and how all this stuff ties together. Apparently Marconi and Tesla work together to make some form of ground plane antenna that could transmit power underground, similar to what I'm doing. And I have this LED bulb lit simply between two separate ground planes. And it's a rainy day out, and you can see the bulb is lit from that ground point, and the ground point of my heater goes to a rectifier, and the bulb is lit. And sometimes it'll flicker. And depending on what I add to this area of the system, or this area of the circuit, I can have under unity or over unity. And notice how I also have this lead connecting to my desk simply as an antenna, and if I disconnect this, the light goes out. But if I touch this, my body acts as an antenna and the light bulb will light. That's my voltmeter. I forgot to shut it off, so he's gonna shut off in a second. But yeah. So, and anything will act as an antenna. If I touch to the metal of my chair, it lights up. So, you can see that just from me touching it. It's all super high frequency, that's why I'm not getting shocked. And again, I'll connect it back to the metal of my desk, and it gets extremely bright. It's an LED bulb. I've lit incandescent bulbs in this spot. It seems to be flickering at the moment a little bit. My power level in this area is weather dependent, and as you notice, it's a little wet outside. It's not fully raining, but it's pretty moist outside. So, I'll give you a look at the transmitter. This is just another wireless pickup. Here's a transmitter. This is how simple it is. And basically what's occurring is these act as ground plane absorbers or reflectors that I was reading about in that article. And I put two of these next to the transmitter. They aren't connected to the transmitter in any way. They're just two hollow metal pipes, copper, connected in parallel. You can see that. These metal pipes are not connected to the transmitter in any way. They're connected to each other, as you can see. And the interesting thing is, so these two metal pipes are in parallel next to the transmitter, and I grounded one of the metal pipes. You can see here with the green wire, and then the bulb goes out. Like, look how interesting this is. So I'm transmitting power into the ground. Look at that. And it still works when disconnected, but dimly. Notice if I touch it too, it gets brighter, because I act as a better ground. Well, there's so much interesting things here to discover. So right now, the reflector mast, or the copper reflectors for the energy, are not connected to ground. Bulb just about goes out. Depending on how I adjust these or move these, it'll reignite. System is very sensitive to tuning. Again, I'll connect this to the ground plane. And my light post here, this was kind of a joke. It just says danger, nuke button. That was just a joke. So, you can see it's sparking to ground, like I'm transmitting energy into the ground. So, again, I connect this. I'm transmitting energy into the ground from my transmitter, from the reflectors. Bulb is very bright. I can move these around, and it will go out or get bright depending on what I do. Seems to like it right about there, the brightest. This guy can run off of a battery, which I've done in other videos. I'm close to having it self-looped. I need some more equipment. Power consumption is extremely low, under 20 watts. We're consuming 16.6 watts. It runs off of a DC power supply, variable, It's even more power efficient when you run it straight off a battery. So we're consuming less than 16.6 watts. Anyone doesn't believe me, I'll unplug it. Drops to 0 watts. Light bulb is out. Consuming 0 watts. I'll plug it back in. Consuming about the same. Light bulb is lit. And this is what one of my reflector towers look like. And if you notice, my reflector tower is cut to match exactly the same length of the transmitter. It might not look it, but it is, because I had to account for the spiral on the transmitter coil here, the black wire. I work with a lot of online automatic calculators to make this very easy, so here's the primary. The secondary is the red wire. And the extra coil is right here. And notice when I do that, you can tell the LED light behind me is going out. So I'm very close to a point where I can have it self-looped. So 16.6 watts. LED bulb is lit. And this little wireless, if I ground one of these little wireless power detectors when the transmitter's on, they light up almost anywhere. And I can pretty much make an unlimited amount of light from this system without diminishing another load in any other way. Like, as long as you separately ground a receiving load, you don't diminish the system in any way. And look at this. If I touch this to the light switch, it'll get very bright. Look at that. Anything grounded, it lights up on. Like, what other device on the planet can do this that you're aware of? Touch to the metal of the stove. Like, look at the range. I don't know of any wireless power device on the planet that can do what mine can do. Like, look at that. I touch it to the oven. I've got it nearly perfected now. Just from reading all about radio. The masters back in the 18 and 1900s probably had all this stuff perfected, and then it was kept suppressed. Again, I ground it to my heater, and look at that. And I've shut all power off to my house and ran the system off batteries, and these effects still occur the exact same way. Dimly lights on my wood stove. This is literally what the circuit is. Up, down, antenna diodes, and I ground the center. Dimly lights there. No, it's not gonna light up there. I'll show it over here. Still lights over here. And I'm a very good distance from my room. Yesterday at Thanksgiving, I wowed everyone by lighting stuff up at the sink here too. With a little bit of tuning. The sink is kind of random though. Sometimes it'll work at the sink, sometimes it won't. It's a little weird. There seems to be those hot spots with the energy and like dead zones, kind of similar to radio. So like the circulating currents are occurring in hot spots around the ground or around the house. Here's another hot spot, the bathroom. See? Now the power's in the bathroom for some reason, depending on the weather outside. It's kind of weather dependent too, which is interesting. It'll determine where your hot spots are with the power. So, this thing's lighting up just from me touching my sink. How cool is that? And this thing isn't even nearly perfected yet. I could make this thing 1,000,000 times better. The only issue I have is time, and money's kind of an issue. I'm saving up as much money as I can. I don't want to spend much money. I do have a GoFundMe, I'm saving up as much money as I can. My eventual plan is to see how far I can take this. And I'm also using my money, I'm saving it up to buy a small little cabin in the woods. Mostly off-grid, might have a power connection. And basically I want no mortgage, no utility bills except maybe an electricity bill. But yeah, I just want a plot of land, little cabin on it. Maybe I could do all that for less than 60 grand. Plot a prefab house or shack on it. You know, something decent but not too crappy. But yeah, this technology is very interesting, shows a lot of promise. And once you understand the concepts of how it's constructed, you can pretty much run away with it and do what you want. And last time I checked, the output there was like less than 200 volts DC at anywhere from 100 to 200 milliamps, depending on how I work the system with tuning and adding different things. Like if I added more metal to that system somewhere in the right spot, I'd increase my voltage. And if I put another piece of metal in the right spot, I'd increase my current, and I can increase both at the same time. Simple radio engineering. If you don't believe it, you can read all about it on Wikipedia. Monopole antennas, Yagi. Marconi, he invented the real type of monopole antenna and transmitter. That's what my device is similar to. The best analogy was your transmitter. It's like a piston pounding a pond or a body of water. The best analogy was you have a piston. Your transmitter is like a piston, and it's punching water in the center of a pond. And each wave, you're making waves, and the waves, when the waves travel, you can have an infinite amount of receivers capturing the wave, as long as they're not too close to the transmitter. And you can pretty much have unlimited power. Simple EM theory. There's no limit to the amount of people that can tune into a radio or receive the power from it if you're far enough away to avoid close decoupling or detuning. You have to be a certain distance away for these effects to occur, like I am. If you're too close, you'll couple with the transmitter and detune it and cause problems, but if you're far enough away, you can pretty much extract unlimited power, like I'm showing. I have my whole house lit up one time with all this. From a simple battery. And it's important each little light gets its own separate ground point. They cannot share a ground as far as I'm aware of. At least that's what I've noticed so far. So yeah, I hope everyone's doing good. I'll even show this lighting up in all sorts of crazy spots around my house. Look at that. Look at this hot spot on my heater down here. Like, what other device on the planet can do that you're aware of? And I build and sell these kits. And I'm dropping the price to about $150 now, because I've further refined the design even more. So, look at that. Boom. And I'm far away from my room. I've gotten this to light up to almost 1,000 feet away from my room. How you doing, buddy? Who put you in the basement? I didn't even know you were down here. I wonder if it'll light up on a weight. Nope, it needs to be in contact with the earth. So, something that's in contact with the earth would be this plug. And there we go. Metal shelf, maybe? Nope. Dryer duct. Ha! As long as it's in contact with the earth. Breaker panel ground, maybe? No. Needs to be in contact with the earth. It really likes water pipes, earth connections, that sort of thing. I'm I'm far from my room, and look at that. Other crappy heater it lights up on. Anyone who doesn't know, this is an old farmhouse we bought. We've been slowly fixing it up ever since. Works out here too. If I get it right. There we go. I'm touching both on accident. Doesn't work on the sink today for some reason. I notice on really wet days it doesn't work on this outside sink, which is interesting. And it is starting to rain a little bit. Farm was way back there. You can see the path going. We used to farm corn, green beans, vegetables, a bunch of shit. Have a lot of chickens too. They're down there. We just sell their eggs. We don't ever kill them or eat them for food. They're way too friendly. We raised them since they were little chickens. Here's a good view of what the little receiver looks like. Literally just special antenna diodes. You can see there's no form of hidden battery anywhere. No tricks. Just an LED hooked up to these special type of diodes. And again, lights up here too. Pretty bright. If I can get it right. Lights up on the edge of the heater too. And one of these receivers I made is so sensitive, it will dimly light when all power is off to my house and my transmitter is off. So it's picking up energy from somewhere. It could be space or something, I'm not sure yet. As you see, that guy is still lit, pretty crazy. Light it up on almost anything. This little thing is lit. He's a wireless receiver. I discovered this at night when I turned the system on. Look at him. He's just a coil. There's nothing to him. Had a lot of people doubt me, but I've moved my system around, showed them. There's no tricks here. I'm too busy for tricks. I work a shitload, don't have time to fake anything. This is real research. If you doubt it, follow as I do exactly and you'll be amazed. I can even ground this back into the battery and it will probably light up. So look, I touched this to the negative of the battery and watch this. It's really just about the battery. That's the battery I use to run the system. It's just a battery. I can run the system off the battery or my little DC supply. And I'm using the DC supply at the moment because it's lasts longer and you can tune it a little bit more. Power consumption is, people were like, oh, you're using a lot of power to do that. No, I never use more than 20 watts. I'm not even at 18 watts, I'm at 16.2. If I'm far enough away and ground these receivers, there's no drain on the system at all. Everything lights up. I can make an unlimited amount of lighting with no drain on the transmitter whatsoever. And again, it really likes this bathroom for some reason. I wonder if it works on the heater. Dimly on the heater. Interesting. Dim on the heater, but bright on the faucet. And I will shut it off and show that these effects no longer occur. And this might still light up very dimly in certain spots because this receiver is so sensitive. It receives power from anything, or space it could be. So I'll unplug it. Transmitter's off. LED light went out. Yeah, as you see, it ain't lit. Nothing's lit. None of those effects are occurring anymore. because the transmitter's off. Completely out. Completely dead. Completely dead. Completely dead. And completely dead. I'll turn my transmitter back on, and you'll see that everything starts to kick on again. Plug my transmitter back in. Immediately all the little lights start lighting up, consuming 17. It'll settle down to about 16 something once it gets in resonance. It's almost like the space is being conditioned or something around it. And the longer it runs, it draws slightly less power to a point, and then it just settles out to like 16.5 or 16.8 watts. Power consumption. Effects are back on. I really loved my friend's room in here for some reason. There was a massive hotspot. Like, if I even get it close to the ground in here, look at this. Like, look how hardcore this one is. Like, wow, I think I'm gonna blow that light. Shit. Like I said, there's hotspots with the energy. Major hotspots. Like, look at that. Major hotspots with the energy. Ba-boom. Massive hotspots. I just bring this thing in proximity to the ground and it lights up. $120-volt bulb lit. I can light up an unlimited amount of these guys depending on how I work the grounding. Again, we have the same effects occurring. Same effects. Same effects. Very sensitive, powerful up here. Ooh, it lit for a second on the sink, but then went out. That's interesting. Likes that area. And I'll show that when I light this up from the bolt, there's no degradation in that light whatsoever either. I can make an unlimited amount of lighting. No degradation down there whatsoever. Doesn't even get dim. I can touch it to the wire and it will light up too, if I can get it right. Can't get the... oh, there it is. Hold on. There we... I just touched it to a wire. Anything metal it will light up on. No degradation of the other on any of the other affected loads. I can touch it to my chair and it will light up. Like, figure that out. So I build and sell these for people as kits. You'll get one little fluorescent tube. You'll get exactly what you see here. To get it to work properly, you need to do exactly as I do. I sell this for $150 now. You get one of these tubes. You get one tube. You get the transmitter set up just like that. You get the little power supply to run it off of. You won't get the battery because the battery's too expensive. And you'll get a couple leads. You have to connect one of the leads to the ground of your house. It could be your heater, the screw on your outlet. See? It's very important to do that because you have to transmit your power into the ground. And you'll get a few of these little receivers. Everything else you're on your own with. You get, so to sum it up, you get the transmitter, you get one of these, the wire to connect it to a ground point in your house. and you get a few of these little receiver lights. Price is about $150. Used to be $300. I don't make these anymore or sell them because it doesn't perform as well as that. It's the principles of the construction on how it was made that make it perform good. So right now I'm just selling these for about $150. No other device on the market that I know of can do what this can do, and if it does, it's classified and hidden away somewhere that we're not allowed to know about. Look at that. Even lights up if it touches my computer, which is a little sketchy, because my computer has spazzed out a few times when my system was on. But yeah, you want to fund this? I have a GoFundMe, links in the description. It's amazing technology. My room's a bit of a mess. I have 2 extremely old cats that literally crap everywhere, and I'm constantly cleaning it. But I can touch it to this and it will light up. Nope. Maybe if I stand this up and touch it. So it'll act as an antenna. Ha! Look at that, I stood it up and now it lights. See how amazing this technology is, guys? Like, look at that. There's no limit to the amount of power you can extract from a transmitter. And it doesn't degrade that bulb in any way, the other loads. So yeah, to sum it up, I'm building and selling these. Price is $150. That's kind of the lowest I can go at the moment because of what I need to construct it and the labor. But I dropped the price from $300 to $150. Like, that's pretty damn good. And there's no other device that I'm aware of that can do what mine can do. And if you have trouble getting it to work properly, you get free tech support forever. They're pretty simple devices, so not much to go wrong with them. I got the construction nailed nearly perfect. I'm not going to say it's perfect, but it's near perfect. So I turn my light on up here, and you get a good look at the transmitter. Something just fell on it. So here's a good look at it. It is on right now. See, there's nothing in it. The circuits, I'm going to eventually have it on a PCB. It's just a single on and off monopole transistor. NPN. It's a tip 31C, I believe. I could be wrong. I'll put that in the description. Heatsink gets a little warm. Not too much. So here's a good look. Here's the primary. Primary, secondary, extra coil. I'll show you the lengths of it if you don't believe me for any reason. So here's the length of it. That's half the primary is 1/2 inch, secondary is 4 inches, and the extra coil is 2 inches. There's almost like a static charge on the thing. And this is not a Tesla coil. This is very different from a Tesla coil. This is a radio transmitter designed to transmit power into the ground. This is not a Tesla coil. But yeah, more to come. Hope everyone's doing good, and cheers.